Are you better than Thebes, which is by the Nile River? Water was all around her. The sea kept her safe, for the water was her wall. Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, with too many to number. Put and Lubim were among her helpers. Yet she was taken away to a strange land. She was taken away in chains. Her small children were beaten to death at every street corner. They drew names to see who would get her men of honor, and all her great men were put in chains. Nahum 3, verses 8 to 10. These verses are a contrast using history as an ironic foil. In 667 BC, a century before Nahum's time, Assyria destroyed Thebes, and Thebes was an ancient Egyptian ceremonial and governmental center, the capital of Egypt during the Middle and New Kingdom eras, from approximately 2000 to 1544 BC. But its history actually goes back to almost 3000 BC. Assyria invaded and plundered the city, completely destroying it as a regional entity, and it never regained its full status. Today's verses contrast that with what God would allow to be done to Nineveh and us. Thebes had been wealthy, powerful, and shielded by the natural barrier to invasion of the Nile. None of that mattered. In fact, Assyria used them to its advantage. Powerful allies in Put and Lubim, nearby states, supported Thebes, but it was overrun anyway. The pharaoh at Thebes was captured and put in chains, then hauled back to Nineveh as a captive prize. The leaders of the Egyptian host were captured and led away in chains. Common soldiers were simply killed. The families of those soldiers were plundered, raped, and murdered, with special savagery being reserved for the children, whose heads were smashed against the walls, sort of like Islamic terrorists in Gaza have recently done. I think you get the picture of what happened. Well, the same would happen to Nineveh, who had so cruelly conquered Thebes. The difference between the two, however, was God. God, through Nahum, was prophesying ahead of time what he would bring on Nineveh. He told them before it happened what would happen to them, giving them the chance to turn from their savage, debauched paganism. Nineveh would be utterly destroyed through the cruelty that was similar to what Nineveh itself had used on Thebes. Tell me, do you think God would spare us the same if he warned us ahead of time to turn from our wicked ways? We who have prostituted ourselves to the false gods of wealth and pleasure and the illusion of real power, do you think God would warn us the way he warned Nineveh? Do you think maybe the entire Bible, which Nineveh didn't even possess, is maybe how he's warning us now?